Jesus is responding to the question that was put to him by the woman at the well, the Samaritan woman, concerning the proper venue for worship, indicating that she, as a Samaritan, had been taught that Mount Gerizim was the appropriate place, whereas, of course, the Jewish nation insisted that it was to be found in Jerusalem. Jesus offers a bit of a corrective here, indicating that she's living at such a strategic time in history that it won't be long before the entire matter of a particular geographic location is going to become superfluous, that there will no longer be a central sanctuary as such. That's why the Christian movement does not technically have a temple. We don't have a single place where, in some sense or other, the presence of God is concentrated. The temple, as a structure of concrete and mortar, has been set aside and replaced by a living temple with living stones, Messiah himself being the chief cornerstone. And so all of that represents a bit of a correction to the very premise of the question that the woman raises, but then Jesus does proceed to give a more direct response to the implication of the question she raised, as we come here to verse 22 of chapter 4 of the Gospel of John. Humes, the pronoun, this is the second person plural nominative pronoun, you, plural, proskuneta, this is the present second person plural, present active indicative of proskuneo, which means to bow down or to worship. So you, referring to you Samaritans now, plural, worship, ho, this is the relative pronoun, neuter, accusative, uk oideta, what you do not know, that which you do not know. Not really referring to a person as such. It's not that he's saying they don't worship someone that they don't know. They just don't even worship something. That is that which they don't know. Oideta from edo is a word that means to know. It's ordinarily only used in the pluperfect, as it is here. So you worship that which you had not or do not or have not known. Then hemes, this is the first person plural pronoun, standing in contrast, of course, to humes. We, proskunumen, present tense, contract verb here again, the same as we saw here. We worship, ho, same thing as here, that which oidamen, we know. This is the first person plural, same as that word in the second person plural. So we worship that which we do know. So Jesus obviously siding here with the Jewish community as opposed to the Samaritan in the general sense of understanding that there was a more correct grasp of the truth of God in the Jewish world. As faulty as it was at this point, it was still vastly superior to the Samaritans, who rejected all but the first 5 books of the Bible, and who, of course, therefore repudiated all of the ongoing, growing clarity of the nature of God and his dealings with people that became part of the history of the Jewish story. People like Isaiah, David, of course, all of these were rejected out of hand by the Samaritans, and that left them in relative darkness compared to the insight that was available to Jewish people. And so Jesus says as much as he completes this thought, hoti, because, he soteria, the salvation, ek ton udaion estin, is from the Jews, is out of the Jews, ek ton udaion. That is, salvation, which is being communicated to the world, is coming through the revelation, which itself was entrusted to the Jewish people. Paul, of course, says something like this over in Romans chapter 9. Of them is the adoption, the covenants, the glory, and so on. All of these great benefits that had been entrusted to the Jewish people, of course, made them uniquely among the nations of the world, let alone among the Samaritans, those who were those that had been given by God the special privilege of communicating the truth of God to the world.